All right, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of RPGs Anonymous. My name is Zachary. I'm going to be your game master for this. I like to start this out by asking our players a little icebreaker question. So today I'm going to ask everybody what your favorite die is. We're all RPG gamers, so we use dice, and everybody loves one just a little bit more than the others. So let's go down the line. What's your favorite die?
Favorite die? Zoecahedron. It's like a large singular percentile dice. The inside's got little weights in it so it doesn't roll forever.
And who are
It's
you?
basically a ball.
Also, who are you?
My name's Aaron, and I'm going to be playing Carl Nelson.
Cool. Those are really cool. I really love those dice. Those dice. I don't know. But do they have trouble stopping? I think I've rolled them before, but do they? The size
Nope,
are so small.
that's what the weights inside are for. They catch them and make them slow down.
I think you told me that a while ago, and I literally forgot. Okay, let's keep going.
All right, I'm Jacob. I'll be playing Tyke the Mystical, or otherwise known as Steve Stevenson. And my favorite die, I think it's 2d10 for percentage rolls.
That's a very close second for mine.
I am Colby, and I'm going to be playing Shane Goose Bailey. And I have to say, mine is the D8. It's really just sharp and pointy.
Which is also, oh no, the UFOs D10s. I like calling D10s UFOs. It's fun.
My name is Nick, and I'll be playing Zedediah, Dr. Zed Vulcan. And my favorite die is a D20, because I grew up playing AD&D, and that there's nothing like that natural 20.
So, does somebody want to talk real quick about Genesis at all? Just because that's the system we're playing in.
I'll talk about it. I know it really, really well.
That's good because I don't.
That's a lie too.
All right, so we'll be using the Genesis system. It's produced by Fantasy Flight Games. The idea is that when you roll your dice, it's not a binary result. So you might succeed and still have something bad happen, or you might fail completely and still have some leftover benefit. Maybe you miss all of your enemies with your attacks, but maybe you have enough benefit to get the enemies to have to take cover and hide from you. So it's really narrative based and very similar to Edge of the Empire, which is another Fantasy Flight game.
Yeah, Edge of the Empire is the Star Wars one. So the main reason I like Genesis is because of that non-binary bit. It allows itself to a lot of that. It's also a lot more collaborative rather than relying on the DM to do a lot of all of the storytelling. It does so. Anyway, all that to say, so to get into this, we're going to be playing Genesis. The players are going to hear all of this stuff for the first time, and I think we're just going to get into it. Is everybody ready?
This is as good as we're going to get, man.
Okay. So let us imagine a world much like our own. Tall skyscrapers in busy cities, suburban homes lining neighborhoods where children play. Majestic wilds as yet untamed by man. Perhaps this imagined world that we're looking at is even a perfect copy of the one that we live in now. We see a bird's eye view of a city, split in two by a river, sprawling. You've got the urbanity touched with forested hills. And our camera comes down on an old 4-story building, zooming slowly in from the sky. It settles upon a wireframe neon sign. And as we sort of focus on it, we see it light up with the words "Made in Oregon," accompanied by a white stag. After only a moment, the camera falls down into the street and turns quickly, snaking through the city away from the city center, following it to a darker, less well-kept area of the city, flanked by industrial complexes. It stops eventually at the window of a small bookstore. From outside, we can see, just barely hidden away, a series of tabloids, half-sized newspapers. We only look at a few, but they all have similar stories on them. We see a title that claims a prophet calls for a united world government to combat magical threats from beyond the veil. Another one says that magic is real and here's what you need to know. And one simply states in large font, beginning of the end. A dozen more have similar stories, but we don't wait. We turn and we begin winding through the suburbs up a hillside where the houses get larger and the trees thicker. We weave through curving roads, approaching a large swath of half-tamed forest. As we near the edge of those suburban wilds, we turn sharply to follow switchbacks to the top of the hill that overlooks it all, Portland, Oregon. Take a deep breath and imagine the awe of the view. Hundreds of miles of natural and human wildernesses butting against each other at every point, exactly the same way as they do in our world now. The camera takes a second to look at this world that we are in, and then it turns around to see the large building standing on this thickly forested hilltop. We see a sign that... We see some barking dogs and a sign that reads Garfield High School. Go Eagles. So we're going to start here with Aaron and Carl Nelson. Why don't you tell me real quick about a day in the life of Carl?
A day in the life of Carl. Carl Nelson is your standard high school PE teacher. He's got shorts on. He's wearing Oakley sunglasses. He's got a ball cap that covers most of his face. You know, basically the lower chin is tan. Everything else is an off-white because he's always wearing his hat. He's 35. He's been doing it a little while, and he's getting a little comfortable with his life. He's a little out of shape, and just goes through his duties to make sure that he can go home at night and watch some movies.
So what's Carl's like favorite part of his day at his job?
Carl's favorite part of the day?
Yeah.
That'd be the morning. That'd be the morning with coffee before all the kids show up and things start happening.
Okay. So
quiet time in the gym.
So we describe Garfield High School a little bit for me. What kind of place is this, and what kind of what kind of demographic, I suppose, would it be?
Well, Garfield is not exactly in the best part of town. It's not bad either. It's basically middle suburbia.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at a pretty standard, off brown brick building built in the late 60s, early 70s. It's been there forever. It's really square, really ugly, but it's still a functioning school. And he likes to spend most of his time, if he can, outside of the gym because the gym is old and smells bad.
So
just like all of them.
What I want you to do real quick, I want you to pick a stat. What is Carl's biggest challenge day to day with these kids? Like, what's the most difficult thing that you have to deal with on a day to day?
Motivation, just getting them to do what they
Mm-hmm.
what I ask them to do or what they're supposed to do, and keeping them interested. So the motivation is there. You just got to compel them to want to do it because nobody wants to do PE, but they're there.
How does he usually go about that?
Just trying not to be a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
He tries to be on a level with everybody and treat them equally and not piss anybody off, because you make one mad, they're all mad at you, and then nobody's going to do anything. You'll never get anything done, and they'll hate you for the rest of the year.
Yeah. So today is a Wednesday afternoon, and I want to know how this Wednesday is going. So why don't you roll me a charm check real quick to determine just
I don't think I have charm.
Yeah. I think that's fitting if you don't have charm, kind of.
I'm pretty sure I don't have charm. Charm and what else?
So start with your stat. It'll be charm based off of presence. So start with presence. You get another number of green die equal to your presence.
Yep, it's 2.
It's 2. And then what is your charm?
That is, I don't have charm, so it is 0.
Okay, very cool. So
no yellows for me.
No yellows for you, so it's just going to be 2 greens. I'm going to say this is an average check, so 2 purples. Straight up and down. I think, let's see, it's the middle of March, so I think it's getting so close to the end of school that the kids are just a little bit extra ornery. They have more energy. They don't want to listen as much. So I'm going to upgrade that once. So 1 red and a purple against your 2 green.
1 red, 1 purple, 2 greens. It's one threat.
One threat and a wash entirely. Okay.
Yep.
So they're, I don't want to say that they're entirely ignoring you, but it's close. It's like it's just
it's springtime.
Yeah, exactly. We'll use that to say that it's a real nice day outside. And they just want to be outside so bad. But like not in the way that like
outside but not sweaty.
Yeah, exactly. They want to be outside doing whatever the hell they want to do.
I would imagine instead of running the lap I told them to run, most of them are walking and talking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I'm too lazy to chase them anymore.
I think even more so, like every class that you've had, you have tried to be like, okay, we're gonna do this, and just halfway through you end up being like, okay, whatever, just walk, do whatever you're gonna do, et cetera, et cetera. So what is Carl then doing at about 2:30 or so p.m.? What does the 2 o'clock hour look like?
2:30 is the end of the day, man. That's it's not the end of the work day, but that's the end of the kid day. It's becoming nice again. Not quiet, because the school will be noisy for the rest of the afternoon, no matter what, until I go home. But at about 2:45, everybody's in the showers, and I get to be in my office until the bell gets out, and they go home at 3:05.
Okay, so
so we are winding down, and I don't care if they walk or not.
Very cool. So what are you doing while you are like sort of overlooking these kids that you could care less about and they could care less about you? What are you like? What are you doing to like, maybe pick yourself up a little bit?
That's pick myself up. No, I was thinking more along the lines of just trying to cut through the rest of the boredom.
Oh yeah.
There's only like 25 minutes left, man.
Mm-hmm. So you're
just looking at the watch, playing with the whistle around the finger.
Gotcha. Kind of just
checking the clipboard every now and then, really trying not to pay attention to kickball.
Yeah, that half zoned out, not really paying attention, just counting the minutes. Cool.
That's right.
So we leave Carl there, just idly waiting for this half hour to tick through to the end of his day, and we follow through the streets of Portland again. Down into the city center. That was up in the upper hills, where it sort of touches Foresty Park. We go back into the city center where things are more or less bustling, and we follow it to a small clinic. Basically, what looks to be like a I don't know that you'd be able to tell from outside exactly what goes on, but there's a line of people outside the door. It's a pretty Nick, why don't you describe this place for us?
So Dr. Zed's, and that's what it's called, is a small, dingy brick building sandwiched between larger, more modern buildings. It's really run down. The sign is like hand painted on. Because he can't afford lights or anything like that. Most of the clientele are homeless, and like they're typically people who can't pay for any kind of medical care, and they're there from 8 in the morning when he shows up to 5 in the evening when he closes the door. And most of them, if they pay anything, it's usually in trade. So like his dog gets groomed 5 times a week, just because it can.
Yeah.
And one guy fishes out of the Willamette some sturgeon. They're really not very good. So Dr. Zed usually gives them away because they're disgusting. But he takes it as payment so he doesn't offend his clients.
So what? That's a pretty good picture of what Zed's like professional life is like. What I want to know, what one, describe Zed for us real quick, Dr. Zed, and then tell us a little bit about his personal life, what he does outside the clinic.
Yeah, Dr. Zed kind of has a higher pitched voice, and he's kind of quiet and very easy to get along with. He doesn't seek any kind of arguments or problems with people. He spends a lot of his time reading. You would see him at Powell's drinking coffee when he's not working.
Powell's is a bookstore for those that aren't Portland native.
Yeah, it's a bookstore. And like he's the kind of guy who gets up at 6 a.m. and makes vegan, gluten-free peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to hand out to the homeless.
Please tell me he has
while
a
he's
standard
working.
poodle for a dog.
Yeah, actually, we'll go with that. Yeah, he has a standard poodle because it gets groomed 5 times a week.
Oh my god,
Named Ajax.
that's good stuff.
Uh,
So what? Let's find out just how this day is going for him. What's different about a Wednesday, compared to other days for.
So Wednesdays are usually a little slower because a lot of the churches in the area have programs on Wednesday afternoon and evening. So, like, a lot of people typically duck out of line around 2 to start getting to where they need to be to get their services.
Okay.
And so, Zed kind of around 2 o'clock just hangs out helping whoever shows up. A lot of the time it's chest coughs and maybe a sprained wrist, but he's basically just hanging out by himself. He doesn't have any employees because he's too poor to employ anybody.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna have you roll a medicine check here, medical, just to see. I want a good idea of how today has gone. So go ahead and do that for me real quick.
All right, so that's a yellow and 3 green for me. Is this just going to be an average
let's
check?
Let's call it average because this is definitely an average day at the clinic.
All right. All right, we have 1 triumph and 5 advantages. It's a good day.
Okay. So,
Jeez, balls.
I'm healed. yeah. I think what this looks like is this is a slew of people that you have been on fire today. You have had the answer to everything. You haven't run into any of the difficult cases that we know exist. Anybody that's has chronic illnesses or things that are. It's all been treatable stuff, and I want to know what is that triumph for Dr. Zed? What happened that was so spectacular today that it deserves a triumph?
I think for Zed, because a lot of people around the area know that Zed kind of runs this clinic out of his own pocket, and he barely makes rent. Is someone comes in? We'll call him Dave, and Dave offers to pay rent for this month.
Oh wow!
So Zed doesn't have to pay rent on his clinic.
So he came in. Let's say, is this somebody that you know before, or is this somebody new to the clinic?
Yeah, this would probably be someone in the community that watches from across the street every day.
Okay.
And sees this kind of work.
You know what? I think I know exactly who this is. I think this is the owner of the bar that you frequent, versus Legacy across the street.
Yeah.
Directly. This is Dave. He's had a good month. He comes over. He comes in with something relatively simple, some medical thing. What is it, and how do you help him with it?
I'm thinking, he's slinging glasses a lot, so maybe he's got some tennis elbow, and I'm able to kind of just work the muscles on his elbow, and I prescribe him a mild prescription that'll help loosen the joints, and he just feels better.
Yeah, he loves it so much. He came over. I think there's a moment where you are sort of helping his re-extend his elbow in the right way, where he's just like, Doc, this has definitely been bothering me, but the real reason I came over here is I noticed it's been real tough around here lately. We've had a good month over there. You guys are over there so much. I want to help you out with rent this month. I know that's a tough thing that you guys run into, but I want to help. This definitely is gonna make my job easier, and I know you're over there so much anyway. So you're part of the reason I'm having such a good month. You think I can do that for you today, Doc?
Yes, I do believe that that would be a great benefit to the clinic, and I really do appreciate it. And I'm happy to continue being a patron at your fine establishment.
All right, Doc. You come by when you're done here. I'll give you a round, and we'll get that squared away. All right. All right. Thanks, brother.
All right, drinks on you.
Yeah. See you later, Doc. So he walks out of the clinic, and I think it's about 2:30 or so at this point, and you have a lull before the next series of clients, just a few minutes long. What are you gonna do with this little reprieve between clients?
So Dr. Zed's guilty pleasure is pulp fantasy writing, and so he like pulls out a book and starts reading, and it's just really trashy. It's all the tropes, but he loves it. It's a guilty
What
pleasure.
genre is this? So like Pulp Fiction. So is this like a actual legit like romance novel, or is this one of those like 2-bit like thrillers, or one of those like
This is like farm boy gets called up to go adventuring by
Oh.
old man.
oh my god,
You know.
oh Zed, what are you doing? Okay, yeah, I love it. Okay, so the camera sort of follows out the door as Zed is quietly and in relaxedly enjoying his book, and so we go outside the clinic and we turn towards the heart of the city. We follow a few blocks down until we get to Pioneer Courthouse Square, which I don't know if those of you that haven't been to Portland, it's just a big, mostly brick colored square. It's a city center. It's a block wide in each direction. There's a Starbucks, and some community chess tables, some cool little stone sculptures, stuff like that, and some pretty decent buildings. Some modern architecture, and then obviously it is flanked on all sides by skyscrapers. And we come into this square, and one of the things Portland is pretty famous for, most major cities in fact are pretty famous for, is something called a busker, which most of the time is a musician, but a lot of the time they're also street performers of any kind. And we come up to a little setup by a street performer in one of the corners of this place. And Jacob, why don't you describe to us what we see?
Yeah, if you're coming on to Tyke while he's performing in the square, he's got like a little fold up table. It's like one of those 6-footers that are also fold in half, so you can like hold it with one strap.
Oh yeah, I love those.
And he's got like a little sign that like fits inside it too, so it sort of just opens up every time he unfolds it. That says Tycho the Mystical.
What is it?
And
I gotta know, what does that sign look like? Like, other than the text, like what's this like style of it?
Oh, it looks like a real jank, like cardboard sign, like a
Oh,
homeless
boy.
person put it together.
Oh, I
Like,
love it.
yeah, so it's just like flattened, like it's an Amazon box. It's like a big Amazon box. It's just flattened and just like in like kind of this weird blood red paint. It just says Tycho, and it's like dripping too and stuff.
Oh my gosh. How many times have you had to remake this sign?
Oh, never. It's my lucky sign.
It's your lucky
So
sign.
it's worn down. It's got scuffs and it's been scraped and
Yeah.
walked on,
Got wet
footprints.
spots
Yeah.
and,
Not only-
like dust all over it and stuff. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's brilliant. So
The bottom corners are rounded.
who are you plying your
Yeah.
trade on right now, and what are you doing?
Oh, yeah. So right now it's kind of like a quiet time. So I've been doing the bit where I like just loudly ask if people want their like fortune read or hear from their dead loved ones, but that hasn't been sticking. So I start doing this real psychic thing, like medium, where like, has someone lost someone? The male family member that begins with the letter J.
Mm-hmm.
And then like eventually someone will respond to one of these little things that I throw out. And usually if they respond to something that vague, I can keep going with that and they won't really put it together. They'll just think I know exactly how their father
So-
died.
Why don't we have you roll? What's your presence skill? Is this
My
going to be like
presence?
charm or
Oh yeah, I guess so. I don't have charm.
what's the one that you do have? There's coercion and then there's I think there's one other one.
Deception.
Yeah,
Yeah.
deception. I would
Could also
yeah,
be leadership or negotiation.
negotiation would
No,
work.
I don't have. Yeah, I don't really have any of those. I have leadership.
You know
How did
what? I could take
Well,
leadership.
I can see a medium leading people around by the nose and telling them what they're gonna learn.
You have here's what I'll say. You have a following, albeit small. So let's have you roll that leadership. So it should be based off of presence, and then so number of green die equal to your presence. Oh, you know how to play this game. What am I doing? So yeah,
Sorta.
do a leadership based off of presence. So number of green die equal to your presence, and then upgrade that a number of times equal to your leadership.
Oh, so instead of a green,
Yeah. So
Yeah,
what's your
replace
presence?
green with yellows.
yeah, so like 2 green and 1 yellow.
That seems
Sweet.
about right, yeah. And then we'll
Okay.
say, as per what we've been doing, we'll say this is average, so 2 purples.
2 purples.
Oh, actually,
Okay.
you know what? I'm gonna give you a blue die, actually, because as we established with Carl, it is a really nice day. So there are extra people out here. So you're gonna get a blue die to this as well. So 2 greens, a yellow, a blue,
And they
2
want to
purples.
be there, unlike children running in a
Yeah, exactly.
track.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
people are out for this type of thing.
Yeah.
My students want to be down at the park with you.
They do. Yeah, I bet there are a number of students that love coming down to see Tyke the Mystical.
Oh man. I think it's 2 threats.
Oh no!
Yikes. That-
Threats would be the circle with the 3 lines on it.
Do you have the Edge of the Empire dice or the?
Yeah, no, it's the Genesis dice. Yeah.
Here, this is a threat.
Yeah, those are the threats.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah, I know
Oh,
that.
no,
'Cause
I
I got
can't-
one of those too.
I cancel out one of them, right? Yeah. 2 threats.
okay. All right. So nobody is taking, and I think what do you think these threats are? What does that look like? What is bad about people not taking this right now?
Oh, so well, one, I don't get paid because like I'm getting tips, or people sometimes tip me for doing their reading, or tip me after, like just because they got to watch me do someone's reading.
Mhm.
So like I'm not getting paid. Also sometimes people will be mean though. Like they won't like harass me, but just kind of like as they're walking by, like flip me off or say I'm crazy or look like a weirdo because I've got like blue blonde speckled hair and stuff,
Yeah.
and like I'm dressed kind of elaborately. Like I've got these like super ripped up baggy jeans and like a leather vest over some Metallica band shirt or something.
Yeah. So Portland's usually pretty I don't want to say accepting of outlandish things, but we're pretty tolerant, as in we are pretty good at ignoring people we don't agree with them. So I think normally you'd be used to people just be like whatever, but today you get hecklers. Today you get people coming by and being like, what are you, like, seriously, dude, what are you doing with your life? Like, this is crazy. We're also really progressive and really like liberal, so like you get people coming up and being like, really, man, like, you know, this is all fake. Like, what like,
Oh
like
yeah.
I think you get like severely guilt tripped by a couple people, like people coming up and be like, hey dude, like you're taking advantage of people, like just don't do that. And I think eventually it gets so bad that maybe you feel very, very pressured to actually pack up and leave. I want to know if you cave to that pressure, and 2, if you do, where do you go? If you don't, what do you do to sort of like, you know, like refresh the situation?
Yeah, so I don't think I caved to that pressure because like I so desperately want to be famous and have people see me. Like somehow even that like negative attention like bolsters me to stay there. But to kind of unwind, I sort of like sit down. I'm assuming there's like some kind of brick ledge or something, or is it just like a
Yeah,
Yeah, there's like stone seating.
yeah, I'm kind of sitting on one of those stone seats, and like like I'm smoking a cigarette, but it's like a clove.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So,
Yeah.
but
Like
did
a
you
clove
brought your whole
cigarette.
setup like over there to sit down, and now you're smoking, or did you like leave it out in the square?
Yeah, I think I'm like right next to the seat.
Okay.
Like I know where to set up because like I'm out here like every day, like all day.
So I want to know now, who is somebody that is regularly around that is about to come up to you and do the buddy buddy thing? Like, it's tough. Like, who's this? Somebody's going to approach you, somebody that knows about you, that's here all the time, maybe even another busker. Who are they, and describe them for us?
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's my friend Jeff, and he's like in his mid-30s or something. Um, and he does like stand-up comedy in like coffee shops and stuff. And he's been trying to do it and make it big since he was like 19 or something. And he just keeps sticking with it. And he's kind of oddly this weird inspiration for me because I'm like, yeah, just like never give up on it. Even though we do completely different mediums. And I met him because he did a stand up routine at the coffee shop and wine bar that I work at nights because I don't make
Okay.
enough money doing this.
So I think you're sitting there with this clove cigarette, and this spindly dude in a t-shirt and a like a sport jacket sort of comes up, and you hear him say, you know those things don't do anything for your health, right? Like, it's just cloves, man. Like, if you really want to feel better, take the real stuff. And he pulls out a pack of cigarettes, and he offers you one.
Yeah, I just sort of like look at my clove and like sort of just drop it on the ground and like stuff it out with my foot and like take the cigarette from him. And I've got like a Zippo lighter. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
light it with a Zippo lighter and take. I'm assuming he's got like I don't know, like American Spirits or something.
Like
And
a
so like
like a what?
American
American
Spirits,
Spirits.
nail
Oh,
coffins.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Something like
Coffin
Yeah,
that.
like
nail.
yellow American Spirits. So it's like a
the,
dense
like,
cigarette.
yeah, it's like the trashiest, like cheapest thing you could think of. I don't know, like
Oh,
you know what?
like
No, I know what it is. It's the menthol ones, the really cheap menthol ones.
mm,
The ones with the
Menthol
like
Light
the dark
100s.
brown wrapper that are all mentholate. That's what he's got. He'll light yours. He lights his own. He sort of like nods at the very clear like space in front of your table and says, "Hard day, yeah."
yeah, it hasn't been one of my best. I got rejected at my callback today too. It probably didn't help that I was hungover.
Oh man, I always find I do my best work when I'm hungover.
Really? I usually do my best work the night before.
That don't they call that something like what do they call that? It's got a name for that. Balmer peak. I think that's what, somebody gets better after a certain couple of drinks or something like that. I don't know, man.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You gonna be okay for today? I just made $50 by a guy over there. He was in from Tacoma. Does some computery thing. You gonna be all right?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a shift at the coffee shop later today, so I'll get tip money. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Hey, keep at it. Get back out there. You know what it is. He'll like give you a little like bump on the shoulder, and then he'll start walking away.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, sorry.
what do you do next? Like, how do you move on from this situation now? You've got this like this person talking to you, but like what's the next step now in a day? Are you gonna get back to the grind, or is it like what's up?
What time of the day is it?
It's about, we'll say, about 2:30 at this point. 2:30 p.m.
Okay. If it's 2:30, I'm gonna try like one last pitch or like I've got like a whole bit that I just sort of like go through
Mm-hmm.
of just like trying to come see Tycho the Mystical and
Mm-hmm.
get your fortune read, get your palm read.
Yeah. So
learn what's coming to be.
So you step back up to your table. You do, your little routine. You start saying your spiel, and the camera zooms out, and starts to leave the city entirely. We actually go very similarly to the way that we went to get to Garfield High School. We go up into the hills, but we take a sharp turn into a deeply forested area. It's a park known as Forest Park. And so we start whipping through trees, and we come upon a place. And Colby, I'd like you to describe this place for me. Where do we arrive?
We arrive in a very sturdily built lean-to. It's just amongst some trees in the distance. It looks like, put together to last, but definitely a kind of a rush job. And coming up to it, you see an older gentleman, vaguely 60, walk up, put his heel to the front left corner of it, and take a very specific number of paces over to the side before reaching down, brushing away some leaves, and opening up a hatch to a little underground bunker.
So you, we see your character hop down into this bunker. Do you close the hatch behind you, or are you just here for a quick bit?
I close it behind me. Triple lock it every time.
So the camera sort of like stays outside, and we see the hatch close, and it's got this little contraption that keeps the leaves on top of it and covers it completely, and it basically disappears into the brush. And then we basically cut immediately to the inside of this bunker. What does this bunker look like?
It has harsh fluorescent lighting a light blue grayish tin inner that's a bed, really nice bed actually, that probably too nice for this situation. And then just very delicately organized toiletries over by a small sink, and a closet with very calculated rations of food.
Yeah, would you say it looks very, very like rigid in its organization and cleanliness, or is
that? No, it's almost obsessive.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
So, what does he do, and who is this person?
His name is Shane Bailey, carryover from his military days, also known widely as Goose. And ever since he left the military, honorably discharged for being wounded in battle, and his wife passed away, and he finally just had to figure out what was up with the government. And he went out into the woods and started practicing urban scavenging and finding any lead or trace for any secrets he thinks are being hidden.
So I think what we see him climb down into this thing and triple lock the hatch, and he turns around, takes stock of what's going on. I think the camera focuses on one small bit in the room that is a little bit out of place, and it's, let's say, a picture frame or a picture that's relatively well worn. It has we'll say a picture of this, a younger version of Goose, and a woman. Do you want to describe that to us?
Yeah, it's one of those super just cheesy couple beach photos with the waves coming up behind him, and she's like jumped on his back, and they're both fakely smiling at the camera because they had to do 12 takes.
Oh yeah, so it's a little bit staged. So they definitely did originally enjoy this at first, but it's been so many takes, they've done it so many wrong that it's just like, okay, if we don't get it this time, we're done. We're going home.
They're still trying to get golden hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And they're both sunburned.
oh,
Mhm.
definitely, they've definitely been out there too long. So how young is Goose in this picture?
He's in his late 30s at that point.
Okay. So what I want to
Mhm.
know is, what is Goose's plan for today? Like, what does a Wednesday afternoon mean for Goose Bailey? Why? What specifically are you doing back at your bunker?
I'm emptying the cans from my backpack from the food that I had for breakfast, and I'm stocking up new cans and then replacing those where they were on the shelf. And then pulls out a watch and clocks what time it is, and grabs his bag and a shopping cart that he just drags up out of it with him, and he starts to head to a place where he knows a specific cop is rather lax those times a day, and it's easier to get away with things.
Okay. So what is I super want to know what this place is. What like and what is Goose trying to get out of this? Like what's so you're trundling into the edge of the city, out of this park. It sort of comes in out of the hills right into the city. So where is this place that you're that has this lax force?
It's kind of a suburban area, or not quite suburban, like almost that midpoint between suburban and urban.
Yeah.
And where you start seeing more businesses, and yeah, there's just a coffee shop that he knows that this specific cop on Wednesdays at this time pulls over into a spot and takes a 2-hour nap. And he also happens to know that a couple of city officials have late lunches at the coffee shop next there.
All right. Okay. So you are, let's say you're about a half block away, and you're just clocking, making sure everybody's in their places. You get a look in the window, you see the cop there. What are you doing?
I am pushing along my buggy and trying to look as awkwardly natural to the surroundings as possible. Like,
Do they call them buggies in Portland?
Not usually, but that's okay. We understand.
It's just a cart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's usually just called shopping carts or carts, you know.
shopping cart.
They're actually called bass carts. That's the real actual word for them. They're basket carts. They're called bass carts. That's the real technical word for them.
Nobody says that here.
Nobody says that
No.
anywhere.
Yeah, they don't.
So you're pushing along your bass cart, trying to look as natural as possible, which is not hard in Portland. We have all types, and again, like I said, Portland tolerates people. It's really good at ignoring people that look like they might be out of place somewhere else. So I think you very easily get away with it. Where you end up? Where are you going with this nonchalant demeanor?
I'm trying to get into like a covered parking area where he knows that most of the government people who get coffee there at that time tend to park their cars.
Yeah, I think you go up into like I think this building that the coffee shop has is like a semi, like half of it is like living space, half of it is like office buildings, and then it's got like an upstairs like actual like roof parking area that's like 2 levels. And so I think the second to the top one is totally covered. And it's just above, like on the 3rd story or something like that. And I think you know pretty well that that's where they park their car. And I think you also know that today, because you've been paying attention, they are very near each other and in a couple of security black spots for this area. So you make your way up to that parking garage, and what are you doing?
I walk up to the top and kind of take stock of where I think I see everyone. I assume it's probably not totally empty this time of day. There's probably a few people around, and he eyes the car that he's most interested in. But before he begins walking towards it, he pulls a baby doll wrapped in a blanket out of his backpack and puts it on the grocery cart, and like pushes it down the ramp and says, "Oh, the baby!" So everyone like goes and runs after it.
Okay. All right. Let's have you roll a deception check. Just to, I mean, I'm definitely gonna upgrade your check. You're gonna get one of your greens is gonna be a yellow, above what you already have, because I mean, people are gonna it's gonna be more easy for you to do this. We'll say it's average also, so it's 2 purples.
Alrighty. Ba, ba, ba. 5 successes, but 1
Holy
disadvantage.
Oh,
Sheep
my
dip.
goodness gracious. Okay, so people definitely like turn and look. Like I think this creates.
There is a man in loafers and slacks chasing the cart.
Yes, this creates way more of a to do than you hoped it was just going to distract people, give you some time to get into these cars or whatever. It creates a huge thing. Like this dude chases after this cart, and I think it like smashes into a glass window. And maybe he jumps through the window and like cuts himself a bunch, and then he starts yelling that it was a doll. So people are definitely distracted for you to do whatever you want, but this is going to become a very intense situation very quickly. So what are you doing while they're distracting?
While they are distracted, I walk up and just feel a couple of the doorknobs real quick to see if they're unlocked.
Let's I'm gonna roll for it. Okay, so it is not locked. But I think you do see the blinking of an alarm. Or like a car alarm. So it's this one at least, it's not locked, so you could get into it, but it's probably going to start going off. It looks like the car alarm is on.
Okay. Shane like double checks to make sure like people haven't started quite like turning around to look for him yet, and he just like slams his elbow through the windshield.
All right, yeah.
And like just tries to see if there's any like wallet or like work ID or anything that he can just snag real quick.
Yeah, I think there is a wallet. Maybe there's among a bunch of parking tickets, there are probably like a few dollars of cash too as well. What's one thing that is really cool to Goose that you find in this car? Just something like relatively mundane, but like wouldn't be valuable to somebody like a standard average person, but is really interesting to Goose.
They have a Elon Musk bobblehead.
You broke into a Tesla.
Yeah,
you're on camera.
Sure, yeah. They have an Elon Musk bobblehead. That's fantastic. Okay, so you pocket this wallet. You grab the Elon Musk bobblehead. I think you quickly make your way to the other couple of cars. And they have like minor things of value. Maybe a little bit of cash, some coinage. But that's the only one that actually had the wallet and ID in it. And people are starting to make a scene. The alarm has gone off from the window smash. And you are going to make your getaway. How do you escape from this situation?
I particularly like this spot because I think he picked it because he knew kind of really close to where the cars were typically lined up. There was like an outer stairwell that went down. Just after you get down to the bottom, just a 10-foot straight shot before a turn down an alley.
Yeah, that's perfect. So we watch Goose hop out outside of the car park, shimmy over to a little rickety old, pretty rusted landing that leads to a little stairwell that goes down. It looks like it hasn't been used in ages and is probably partially busted, but Goose is skilled enough that he navigates it pretty well. And the camera moves away as we watch Goose escape from the situation pretty easily. So Carl.
Oh yeah.
You are currently watching over your very last class of students. It's literally 7, 8, 10 minutes before class gets out. Okay. You're watching the clock. They're watching the clock, but with their phones. They're all on their phones chatting. Nobody gives two shits about anything. You have this unspoken agreement between you and the group that they're going to do whatever they want, you're going to do whatever they want, and you're going to wait this out. When you see something odd, and I want you to roll me a vigilance check. With no difficulty, just the straight thing.
So you want the vigilance as well, huh?
Yes.
Willpower is 2, vigilance is a 1, so I'm upgrading one of those greens to a yellow.
Yep. So green and
And you
yellow.
want no purples?
No purples, but I will have you put a black die in because you are particularly blasé about your attention right now.
Okay, so the black die is if I'm watching the children. If it's anything else, there's no black die because everything catches my attention other than the kids.
I think it's more that you've lulled yourself into this, like you're very, very closely watching the clock. You're watching the time. You're looking for you are definitely looking for anything to distract you. But it just so happens that this is happening in the direction that you should be paying attention, which is where the
okay, yeah. So it's over behind the kids. Yeah, exactly. No problem. So the black die is a not. Everything's just advantages, man. I got 2 advantages.
Okay, 2 advantages. Okay, I'm gonna write that down real quick. So, okay, so what you see after a moment, it takes a moment because again you're not paying attention. The kids are walking around. You said you're having them like basically walk, right? So they're like on the track.
Yeah, they were supposed to be running, but whatever.
Yeah, so
just walk.
Describe it. This is like the football field area, right?
Yeah, it'd be the track. Little yellowed, starting to overgrow on the edges.
Give me one thing that is like abnormal about this particular high school's track football field area.
A rubberized running surface around the outside of the football field. The grass is green, but they have a $300,000 running surface.
What? Why? What the hell? What is
somebody threw the money in?
What does a $3,000 running surface look like?
$300,000. It's a chipped rubber mix that lays down like asphalt that you can run on with track cleats. So the cleats bite into it and you get a little faster run, and it's cushioned when you run. So it's not as hard as the dirt. Okay. And it takes less maintenance. And if you fall, you don't die.
Okay.
It's a rubberized running compound.
All right.
And the lines are built into it. So there's no maintenance, and it's way too much for this school to have, but they have it.
So the kids are walking around on this $300,000 running. This like objectively beautiful thing being used in an objectively inane way. Like, I
mean, Portland's the home of Nike. Maybe it was donated.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, let's say it's even Nike branded around every 20, 40 feet or so. There's like a big Nike swoosh with "Just Do It" in a couple of places. The kids are walking along this, and in the center of the football field, between all of this, you see a distortion in the air. Something that catches your eye, sort of like heat, but with a darkness inside of it. What do you do? It's just a weird looking thing in the air. What do you do?
Yeah, it just gives me something else to watch. Definitely watch that. It's obviously not anything important because there's nothing on that football field. It's a high school, 3:00 in the afternoon. Everybody's leaving.
Yeah, for sure. So as you watch it, it starts to like widen at the center. It's sort of like a line in between, sort of ovular in shape, actually. It is this like spiraling dark purple like mist almost. This is definitely something that is strange. You kind of think for a moment, because again, you've got the heat waves that you're hallucinating, until you see something begin to step out of it.
That's a double take moment.
You see a large scintillating metal, what can only be described as a metal claw, coming out of this hole in the air. And it is about 3.5 feet long, this long pointed object, and it touches into the grass. And you see that it is connected to a black appendage that is leading back into this hole in the air, and the hole begins to widen. What do you do?
Take off the sunglasses.
Uh,
See if any of the other kids are noticing this.
They definitely haven't. They're on their phones.
Is there any panic?
Nope, they're on their phones. None of them are paying attention. You seem to be the only one around that has even noticed what's going on.
Well, I'm not going to draw any attention to this. It's obviously crap. It's just not normal. That's not real. We'll just let that go. I'm definitely going to watch it, but I'm not going to go investigate it any further than possibly making the kids go back to the school 3 minutes early.
So we cut very suddenly from seeing that appendage come out and seeing Carl pull his glasses off and kind of look at it and like look around, and then sort of like sit there nervously and just not do anything. We cut very suddenly back to the clinic, and I think it's about 250 or so, 255 or so, Zed, and you haven't had a lot of clients up until this point, but now suddenly there's just the floodgates have opened. It gets like this sometimes. You have ups and downs, in and outs, etc. And you just have like 6 people waiting in the waiting room. You are running between a few different rooms. I want to know real quick, who are you treating right at this very moment, and why are they annoying as heck?
So this gentleman's name is Jeremiah. He won't give me his last name because he just doesn't feel like that's safe.
Oh, yeah.
And the problem with Jeremiah is he should be on antipsychotics, but he's not. And so he sees things that aren't there, and he will tell me all about them. And he really struggles with fidgeting and like just picking things up and moving them. It's just like he doesn't like move it that far. He just moves it like a couple inches, but he has to pick it all the way up and then move it over 2 inches and then set it all the way down.
So I think
so he's like grabbing all kinds of stuff.
I think because you've definitely treated this guy a couple of times. I think you have something in the room, the exam room, on like a table next to him. You have a few like bits and bobs and odds and ends that he'll want to move, and it'll sort of distract him from doing anything like dangerous, like needles or anything like around you. What are those things that you've placed in here to sort of distract him?
So I've got a fidget cube that has like a thing, like a little joystick on it, and it's got like little wheels that he can move on it, and like a little ball that he can like roll across his thumb. And he seems to like that most of the time. I also have like some silly putty that's just sitting there like in a clump on the desk. And the last thing I have is a ruler, because he'll like pick it up and like just like tap it on his leg, or like push things out of the way with it.
I think that's what he's doing right now. You're like, he's got like a wound. Like he seems to have been bitten by a dog or something. So you're like cleaning it, making sure he doesn't have anything dangerous. And so I think he's playing with this ruler. He just picks it up and he starts slapping it on his knee, and he says, Doc, look behind you. There's something weird going on. It's in the wall. Something weird going on in the wall.
Yeah, I think that it's just the weather plays tricks on us, and it's probably just a heat mirage. It's okay. Let me get that stitch in there. Like, don't move your leg.
Yeah,
I'm
Doc.
trying to stitch up his
definitely.
leg. I'm concentrating.
So he taps his knee a couple of times with the rule. You see him like staring dead at something behind you, but this is not abnormal for you. For him rather. So you continue stitching. You keep going, and the camera actually turns from the perspective of watching them to watching the backs of their heads, or looking dead on Zed's face, looking at the wall, as we see a similar shimmer in the air, heat waves, and a swirling purple mass. It seems to be widening, and a head of something begins to come out of this currently very small opening. Again, it looks metallic in origin with black appendages. There are rows and rows of almost shark-like teeth, but they again look metal in origin. And the opening widens, and this thing begins coming through, and the camera goes to black. And it picks up, it pulls away from a black piece of fabric that is part of Tycho's ensemble. What kind of fabric, like what is this thing that the camera was just super zoomed in at, and now it zooms out? What is this piece of your ensemble that is probably pretty cool?
Oh, it's not really that cool. It's just like a tablecloth.
Oh my gosh.
It's just like it's got stars on it and stuff. I guess that's kind of cool. But like, yeah, because it's a white table, and I could only find like a white table, but that doesn't really go with my aesthetic. Like with aside from the banged up sign.
Yeah.
My aesthetic is very dark and black, so I cover it up with just a
black tabletop,
starry tablecloth. Yeah.
Cool. Is it like cartoony stars where it's just the 5-pointed thing, or is it like actually like kind of
sequins?
Oh, that's good. So pulls out from that, and we see this tablecloth, and it opens up at you. You have somebody that is listening to you, is being read by you in some way. What are you doing with them at the moment?
Yeah, I think I'm doing tarot cards.
Ooh.
I'm having them I'm just sort of pulling the cards for them and like laying them down, and they're going to flip them over. And I've got this whole spiel about how the tarot cards are a way for the universe to manifest itself for so that you can know yourself better.
So you pull a card, the final card you're anticipating for this reading, which I don't know if anybody knows anything about tarot, but a lot of the time they go past, present, future. So you're pulling this person's like future card. You're going to start really raking in the tips at this point by telling them some good stuff. And you pull a card that can only mean bad things. It is a card with a skeletal man on a skeletal horse holding something that can only be described as a terrifying implement. And you place it in front of you, and you hesitate for a moment because you're trying to figure out how to spin this in a way that's going to get you some cash. And then over this person's shoulder, you see a distortion in the air. It's not a hot day. It's a nice day. But in Portland, a nice day does not mean a hot day. It means like 70 degrees. So it's definitely not heat waves, but it looks like that in the air. And there's this weird line of darkness in the middle. What do you do?
Sorry. Look, the universe is trying to manifest itself over there.
I love this very much. Why don't you roll me just straight presence, with a single purple die.
Okay. So that'll be 3 green and a purple.
Yeah.
I hope this is just to figure out if the other people see this.
1 failure.
Is that it?
Oh no!
Oh my gosh! So I think what happens is you play this card, you hesitate, you look up, you see this thing, you're like, and you immediately try and spin this. Look, the universe is trying to communicate with you. And they just like look at you and they're like, all right, man, I was with you until now, but I just can't. And he takes the like the fiver that he had in his hand ready to like tip you. And he's just like, I can't with this. And he puts it in his back pocket and he turns just in the wrong direction to see this thing and starts walking away. And suddenly you realize that you're the only one looking at this thing. Because your setup is facing straight towards it, which is towards the center of the thing, and that is when you see two long, scythe-like appendages come out. It's terrifying because you see them look so similar to the weapon on the card you just pulled for this man. These appendages come out of this opening, and we cut to black again. When the camera turns on again, we see, I'm going to say probably moving pavement. And then we see Goose's feet on the moving pavement. And then we pull up to see the whole picture. Where's Goose at this point? You've just gotten to the bottom of this thing and you're starting to leave. What direction are you going from this area?
I am going to those people's home office.
Okay, I love that. Where? Let's see. You have their IDs. Well, you have the ID of one of them, so you would have their like address, I suppose. So where is this place? Are they like in an apartment, or are they in the where's this place that you're going to find this?
Yeah, it's in like kind of upscale apartment area, like very nice, not run down.
That makes sense.
And rooms big enough that some of the rooms are just kind of rented out by businesses, and others are more wealthy people.
Okay.
And I like to imagine as he's walking there, he like pulls the IDs out of the wallet and then finds some money, and he like just half paying attention throws all the money at the feet of a statue that he assumes is a busker.
Yeah.
And then he just like tosses the wallet to the other side.
Okay, so you approach this. We'll say it's like one of those middling like high rises that looks like if it were built to house as many people as possible, it would have like 100 apartments, but it has like 30 at most. Because they're all like huge and really opulent, and it's sort of it's pretty centrally located, and I think we follow him sort of like into the building. How do you con your way past the doorman?
Hey, residents only.
Got my ID right here, and I try to like flip it just enough for him to see that it's an ID without getting a like glance of the picture.
Roll me a deception. I'll do average. But because it's again a nice day, this doorman's not paying a lot of attention. You're gonna have a blue die.
Alrighty. And roll. 1 success and 2 advantages.
Okay, so yeah, he's like rattling
whatever
in the sun. And I think
it's all good. At least you have it with you.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, all right, man. And he pops you through the door. You open up, and I think at least one of the advantages is that the elevators don't have like keypads or anything, or like one of them's opening up right away, so you can like trot immediately over to this elevator. You get in the elevator and go to the floor that is the correct one for the apartment. You follow it up and you find the door to this apartment. What do you do?
I take a peek around to see if anyone's in the hallway or if I see cameras.
I think you see cameras, but they're more looking at the entrances to the hallways and not the actual doors of the hallway. They're looking for like people doing weird things, entrances, exits, that kind of thing, because they obviously don't have enough camera coverage. So I think you're clear.
All right. Then I walk up to the door that goes into the room of the person's ID I took, and I try the handle to see if it's unlocked.
It's definitely locked. I think. This is home office style. This person, like, they've got like important documents, stuff like that. I think it's definitely locked.
All right. I tried to pull a bobby pin out of my hair, and See if I can scrape something.
Heck yeah, let's. I think we could call this skullduggery, unless you got an
Yeah.
idea for something better.
Skullduggery looks good to me. Ba, 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 ba. How hard?
Oh, let's say this is average. That's the theme of so far.
2 successes, 1 advantage.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, you easily pop it open.
Nice.
And I you walk in, the door just slides open. It's nice and quiet. Definitely a well-made area, well kept. You walk in, it's a relatively small area for something that's like an office, but the crazy thing about this like office apartment thing is that it has a giant glass window on the outside. So it's like the entire wall is essentially glass. As a lot of corner office type things do. So you begin rummaging around. What are you looking for in this office?
Any kind of just files laying around,
Mm-hmm.
like anything that looks like stuff related to that person's work.
Okay, I think your advantages means that probably there's something that is there that hasn't been shredded yet, and I want to know what that is. Something actually important, obviously.
Yeah, it is a order list for the supplies for a warehouse that the local government recently claimed and has not told why.
Ooh, I like that a lot. So it's even got like shipping manifest areas. It's like a full manila packet that he just hasn't gotten to shredding yet. So I think as you're like, oh yes, score, I got this, and you're about to turn to leave, you hear an enormous amount of glass shattering. And the building that you are in shakes. And you see this large car-sized metalline monstrosity fly out of the building that you are currently in onto the street below. It has these 3.5, 4 feet long scythe-like metal appendages. It looks like if you crossed a spider with like a lizard, and then coated it all in metal. It bursts out of this building and begins smashing into things below you. And you hear screams. You hear people immediately reacting to this thing. What do you do?
I see it, do a double take, and stare at it for a moment to just make logic of what my eyes were seeing. And upon realizing it, I think he slides the folder with the paper into a jacket pocket and pulls out his phone and starts taking like a selfie video of it running away screaming, "I knew it! I knew it!"
So we watch Goose screaming, I knew it," taking a video of the giant metalline thing destroying parts of the city and the building. We cut back quickly to each other person. At the high school, we see this same type of metalline monstrosity pull itself fully out of this, what can only be described as a portal, and lock.
Everybody inside. That's it. All done.
So we see Carl react quickly,
Freak me out.
whistling. The kids begin screaming when they notice what's going on. We cut quickly back to the clinic, and this thing comes fully out of the portal, breaking the wall between this exam room and the waiting room. Jeremiah is like wide-eyed the entire time, but he trusts you implicitly, so he's holding himself still as this thing pulls itself out of the air and destroys the wall, and screams abound. Then we cut back to Pioneer Courthouse Square, and we see Tycho, the only one staring inside into this thing's non-existent eyes, as it pulls itself also out of the portal into the square, and we begin to hear screams from hundreds of people in the square as it locks eyes directly on him, and we cut to black. That is where we're going to end for the day. You guys can pick us up next week where we resolve everything that's going on. Do you guys have anything you want to plug or say about anything at all today?
Come back.
Hope you all can join us next week.
Yeah, cool. Come on by Monday, 6:30 p.m. PST, 9:30 p.m. EST. Join our Discord. We'll do links to all of our social and stuff like that. And we will see you in the multiverse.